And thanks for joining me. We are here at the very lovely Circuito Monte Blanco in southern Spain. It's about half an hour outside of Seville. And we are here for the international launch of the third generation Porsche Panamera, which is the grey car on the end. So the first generation Panamera Turbo came out in 2010. So this is that car, sort of very polarizing styling. Wasn't to everyone's taste, but it did the job for Porsche because it gave it a pretty good foothold in the luxury sedan segment, which it didn't have before. This is the second generation car, which came out in 2017. And here we have the new third generation car. As you can see, very evolutionary styling, and that's by design, because buyers in this segment don't like dramatic changes. So and also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But a few notable changes. As you can see, the headlights are much more squared off. The fenders have a more pronounced bulge in them, so it's a bit more like the 911. And also a sort of a sharper nose at the front, so it gives it a bit more dynamic profile. 21-inch rims on this with the carbon ceramic brakes as an option. Center lock wheels, which are unique to the Turbo. There will also be a Turbo S in due course, but for now there's three model variants: Panamera, Panamera 4, and this one. This is the Panamera Turbo E-Hybrid. The two base models put out 353 horsepower and 500 newton meters. So the Panamera 4 does 0 to 100 in 4.8 seconds. This car has 680 horsepower and 913 newton meters of torque. So this thing is a rocket ship. 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds and top speed of 315. And bear in mind that Porsche is always a bit conservative with its acceleration numbers, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this dip under 3 seconds for the 0 to 100. So so although it uses an evolution of the MSB platform, which also underpinned the previous car, there's been a lot of work done to this car to make it sharper dynamically and also faster. And we've cut some laps at Circuito Monte Blanco a bit earlier on. I will post a link to some of my on-track footage. And suffice to say, for a 2.3 ton car, this is lightning fast around a racetrack. In fact, it's scarcely believable that a car this big and heavy could be that quick. Dimensions are much the same as the previous car, so it's just a tad over 5 meters in length. So it's a proper luxury 4-seat sedan, Grand Tourer. But one of the sort of new party tricks for this car is something that Porsche calls Porsche Active Ride, or PAR for short. They love their acronyms that start with P. And basically that uses a hydraulic pump at each corner along with 2 valve dampers. So each wheel is independently controlled. So there's no sway bars in this car, no stabilizer bars. So each wheel can be controlled individually. So basically you get very precise wheel control. And also it enables the car to do this. When you open the door, hey presto, it rises by 55 millimeters to make for easier entry and egress. Close the door and bear with me, it drops down again. And also on the go, when you're at speed, the car lowers in height, and also under cornering the car drops in height as well. I'll just include a little demonstration here to show you how that works.
The comfort functions, if you now go for acceleration, the car will go down in the front and up in the rear to reduce the acting forces on the body. If you now start braking, the car will go directly in the other direction. It will lift in the front and go down in the rear for the same reasons. Then for steady state cornering into a left turn, for example, the car leans into the left, and for the right turn, the car leans into the right. can also use these functions in combined version. So if you now brake, for example, into a curve, the car will first go up for braking, then you go into the curve, it's doing an overlaid roll and pitch angle. You go now to steady state cornering, then you accelerate out of the curve, and then you accelerate straight, and then you're steady state condition back. And you can do all these motion combined, for example. And then if you talk about the dynamic functions, for example, the dynamic ground clearance, which are only available in Sport Plus and always active, the car is going during braking, the first step down to lower the center of gravity height. And then if you start cornering, you go further down just to increase the camber on the wheels and also, again, reducing the center of gravity height. If you then accelerate out of the turf, then you go back to normal level to have the full range of wheel travel back for wheel excitations due to road excitations.
So basically all this tech makes this car incredibly capable on a racetrack, and also very pleasant on the road. Because sometimes what you get is when car manufacturers try to make a sedan very performance oriented, that comes at the cost of ride comfort, so they end up riding really harshly, but that's not the case here. The bandwidth between comfort and performance is pretty impressive for this car. And moving around to the back, as you can see, there's sort of a broader stance to this car, which is thanks partly to this full-length light bar that runs across. And then, of course, with the turbo, you have this sort of biplane wing, which pops out. So yeah, I think if you see this in isolation, you may not pick up on all the changes vis-a-vis the previous car. But when you see them side by side, then you can actually see that actually it has changed. Only the doors, the front and rear doors, are said to have been carried over. Everything else in terms of body panels is different. So it's similar, but yet also very different. So that is the third generation Porsche Panamera. Only a very short video today. Sorry, I'm still recovering from the flu and my voice is going. But I will post a link to some of my on-track footage, because at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words. So check out the footage and you will see that this is a pretty electrifying performance sedan. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next video. Almost forgot to show you the interior. So Porsche has done away with a lot of the buttons in this car. So you have this fully digitized instrument cluster, and you have this center screen 10.9 inch, and then you also have this passenger side display, which cleverly you can't see from the driver's seat, but is visible from the passenger seat. So it enables the passenger to send and receive emails, stream videos, and so forth. And then here you have a very clean layout with a few physical buttons for the HVAC and volume controls, etc. Piano black on this car. You have a Bose premium sound system. And then you have this sort of houndstooth seat trim on this car, which I think looks pretty good. And then moving around to the back. Yeah. Even though the roof line slopes down quite dramatically in this car, there's still loads of headroom, and legroom is not too bad. If I'm sitting behind myself or even someone taller than myself, there's more than sufficient knee room. You have a control panel here as well. So yeah, a pretty comfortable four-seater. Maybe a little claustrophobic. No, it's not too bad actually. It's a pretty panoramic rear window. So yeah, it fulfills the brief for a four-seater Grand Tourer. There is a sort of a premium ambience inside the car, and out on the road it's actually pretty quiet as well. So quiet and refined. So that is just to touch on that point again. Some high performance four-door sedans, they sacrifice ride comfort in the chase for dynamics, but that's not the case here, because the Porsche Active Ride, especially in cars so equipped, really gives it a broad bandwidth.